Greetings, this is Bernice from The Ring Lord. I'm going to show you how to make the triple scale flowers. This one shown here has the black bottom with the frost in the center, and then the Celtic knotwork small black scales on the inside. What you do to start is you make a large scale flower like this one. This is your base. The rings are our saw-cut anodized aluminum in the bright silver color, and the center are 18 gauge 1/4 inch, the large are 16 gauge 3/8, and the small ones are 19 gauge 9/64. The other important part of this project are that you need very pointy pliers. What I'm using here are a Xuron 485 and a Xuron 475. You need to be able to get in there to open the rings. So you already have all of the rings that you're going to need, and all I'm going to do is go in with the pointy pliers and open these 18 gauge 1/4 inch rings and put my scales around one by one. I'm going to go once around with the frost and then once around with the small block with the Celtic pattern. The first layer with the frost is going to go between the base layer of the black. I'm just going to open this ring, slide the scale on, and then close it. You don't need to be very concerned about your closures because you're going to be opening that ring again when you get to the next layer with the Celtic pattern. You'll also find that it's easier if you open your ring with the outside part of the ring closer to the scale that you're going to be putting on next. So I'm just going to go and continue all the way around with this layer. If you don't have pointy pliers, what can happen is you'll lose contact with the ring and it could slip out of the weave. If this happens, it's not the end of the world. You might want to get pointier pliers to fix it, but you can just observe where that ring had gone in the pattern and try to put it back into place. Basically, each of these 18 gauge 1/4 inch center rings are going to go through 2 of those 16 3/8 and each of the scales in turn. So you would just have to observe another one and then open and then replace that 18 gauge 1/4 inch if it slipped. But pointy pliers is the best way to avoid that problem. So you can see this is quite a quick project. It's actually fairly easy to do. It doesn't get tighter or more difficult really as you go. It just needs these pointy pliers, basically. You want to make sure that you open your ring enough to be able to get that scale on easily. You might want to turn it sideways to do that. And just be kind of gentle and careful getting that scale on because you don't really want to scratch it, especially the next layer with the Celtic pattern. So here we go, first layer. I'm just going to repeat with these scales. So the frost layer went between the black layer. Now I'm going to put these back in line with the black layer. And your closures here are more important. These are your final closures. However, you can just spin the ring around so that the opening is at the back on the bottom side of the flower, and quite easily tweak your closures if you just simply cannot get in here. These are really nice rings, so sometimes it's hard to find your closure. You can feel free to skip to the end or just manage the project on your own, of course, at this point in time. I'm just going to finish putting these top scales in place, but I'm just basically repeating, opening that ring, putting in the scale, opening the next ring, looping the scale on. So I don't want to let go of that ring just in case it slips. I've had to fish one out already on another scale flower, and it's not amusing. It's doable, just not amusing. Okay, last one. Now you'll notice, depending on the exact scales that you use, and of course there's tiny variances in ring sizes and hole positions on the scales, you'll find that your flower may be slightly floppy or slightly looser. And the last one I made like this was quite nice. It sat, the scales kind of sat where I put them. But if you find that they're flopping around just a little bit too much and you want to position them and have them stay there, like if you want to hang this, then you can always just put a little drop of glue behind them. So I just position these ones kind of where I want them, and then see that one's moving, so I'm probably going to just put a little drop of glue if I want to hang it or just enjoy it as is.